Hey guys, welcome to the Scholar Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. In this video today, we are going to continue with the OpenAI API. And for the first time in this channel, this is something we have never ever done before. If you can see at the top over there, we have built our application completely on React, okay? So we are generally a Python channel. We generally build our applications on Python Flask and Python Django. But today, because of an overwhelming request from you guys, I've decided to rebuild one of my previous apps on React. And I have to admit that in the process of doing that, I was reminded very clearly why I do not use React and why I have stopped using it. I mean, it is a goddamn nightmare working on React. I know most people might not agree with me, but seriously, if you're coming from Python trying to go back to React, it's like, what are these people thinking? Nonetheless, you guys asked for it, we have built it, and I'm going to take you through that app here today, okay? So, as usual, I will start with a high-level demonstration of what we are going to build. So we are building a AI content generator that uses OpenAI API, all right? So this is similar to all the content generators you see out there where, we managed to do 3 use cases, okay? React is a flipping nightmare, like I said. So, I've just done 3 use cases, unlike the 12 or the 10 that I did with the Django. But if you can see the use cases I've done here, you can definitely replicate them, because to replicate is actually just a simple copy and paste, and perhaps changing, just the prompt that you give to the API, all right? And I'll show you how to do that. But if you can figure out these 3 use cases, you can pretty much come up with like any use case you can imagine in your head, because you would be able to just adapt the code to do that, all right? But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to stick it to the 3 and we'll continue from there. So this is the application. It's got a home page. It's got a simple navigation bar at the top there, and you can also navigate on the home page over there. I've got a nice image at the top there that you can even have like sort of like a couple of images scrolling around, and then you've got the use cases there. You can click. Let's say you wanted to generate a cold email template. You would click over there and it will take you to a detailed page on cold emails like you see there, and then you can give it the prompt of what email you want to generate about. So let's say I am a marketer and I want to get some ideas and some tips about create me a cold email on, I don't know, let's say I'm selling the best CRM software for small businesses. All right, and I'm gonna submit this, and then it's running the sort of the request in the background, and then there it is. It has given me some ideas. All right, hi there. Small businesses are the backbone of our American economy, and yet they're often the most neglected. We have customized this and that. If you don't like this, you can run it again. Let's say I didn't like this very much, or maybe you can reword your prompt. CRM software. Let's try that and try and get some AI suggestions. Let's see. There you go. Hi, first name. So this tells you, you can whoever you're writing the email to, are you looking for CRM software to help manage your business? Thank you, ma'am. All right. Let's say you wanted to do a product description. All right. And let's say you want to do a product description, I don't know, for a BlackBerry phone. Or whatever it is that you're doing, and you want to get some suggestions, you could do that. You could just enter what you want, and it's going to give you some descriptions over there. Let's try something else over here. Let's try free invoicing software. All right, let's see what it would give us for that. All right, so it looks like this is it's getting cut off at the end over there for some reason. Okay, it's not finishing off. I think this continues, and then we'll probably need to fix that. Let's look at some tweets there. Let's say you wanted to tweet about, I don't know, Nelson Mandela. All right. Let's see. Let's say you wanted to tweet about that. Nelson Mandela was a great leader and an inspiration to all. RIP, whatever. That's a tweet idea. I don't know. Let's say you wanted to tweet about Barack Obama. All right. Let's see what suggestions it will come up with. Was a 44th president of the United States and is widely regarded as one of the most successful. So we definitely need to. It doesn't. In this specific case. So actually, I know what I need to do to fix that. But I'll then keep only the thing for the emails, because that's the only one that we really need the breaks anyway. So nonetheless, this is what we're going to build. All right, it's exciting. And I'm going to take you through step by step, showing you how to do that. But first of all, let's get through the admin stuff. So this is our channel. If you're watching this and you're joining us for the first time, please remember to like the video that you're watching. Remember to leave us a comment if there's something that you don't like, whatever it is, something you'd like us to do. Like I said, we made this video mostly because of the comments we received, people asking us to do something on React. So I do pay attention to those comments. Definitely feel free to leave me those comments. And if you open the description box at the bottom, there's that show more button. Just definitely open that, and you'll find some video timestamps to help you along, because we do make long videos. And definitely, if you want to just like fast forward to a section in the video, you can use those timestamps. If you come back in the future, because more often than not you will, when you want to remind yourself of something, you'll find these timestamps quite useful, that you can just fast forward to the part that you want to get to. And when I say I'm going to link something in the description below, a link or something useful, this is where you'll find it. All right, you'll find the links in there, and if you scroll a little bit lower, you'll find all our social media links as well, because we generally do write up tutorials on everything that we do on Medium. So check out our Medium application and check some of the tutorials we've done in the past that are written up, so you can always refer to them if you don't want to watch a video and you would rather read it. Okay, so we're gonna get started right now, and the first thing that I want us to do in getting started is obviously create an OpenAI account. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you're an OpenAI version, and I'm going to take you through that whole process here today. All right, so basically what you need to do is to go to openai.com, and again I will link it in the description below, so remember to check that out. And when you get to this page, just click on the get started, because you need an OpenAI API key in order to connect to this API. All right, so when you get here for the first time, you'll be able to create your own account, and previously you used to have to wait for an approval, and you'd have to explain what the hell you're going to be building and all of that. But they have overly simplified it now and made it simple for anyone to just go there and create their own account, and they give you like $18 of credit that you can use like for the first month, so you can test this out, and after that then you have to pay for it. But still, this is going to be the cheapest way for you to access an artificially intelligent AI that is really, really well built and well trained. There is nothing in the market right now that compares to this. So this isn't even a competition. And the majority of these AI generator content platforms that you see out there are actually built on top of OpenAI. So if you can master this, you can actually go out there and build your own software platform like this for people and charge them for using it. I mean, I've seen guys charging up to like $100 a month for this stuff, and you can make money, and people will pay it, especially the tweeting stuff. And maybe you can even tie this into automated tweeting, so that people just like give you a keyword, and then you get the content and you just tweet it for them without even a lot of manual interaction. I mean, you can do a lot. I mean, the use cases is just out of it's a lot. So when you get here, I'm going to authenticate with Google this time, because I want to create a new OpenAI account. I've run out of credit, but and then I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to use my Scholar Online account, and I'm signing to Google with that, and then I'll get access to the AI. So let's give it a moment. All right. So when you get here for the first time, this is like your dashboard that you see. So if you're navigating at the top over there, you can click this button here to read the documentation. You can click there for some examples, and you can click there for the playground. This is gonna be your friend, all right? The playground is sort of the online place where you can test out the code, and I do the majority of my code testing on the playground before I actually write it into the application. So this is very, very important. And then the examples over here is, if you want to sort of have a look at some, typical examples for inspiration, to see what kind of things people are building, you can definitely have a look at these examples. Anything from Q&A to classification, movie to emoji. There's a lot of examples that can sort of prompt you into how you can build your own, okay? Not for you to like copy and paste. Because I get people asking me, can you please build me a classifier, this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, the examples are there. If I've shown you one use case, it's very easy to just adapt the overall code to whatever use case that you want if you understand how everything works in the background. Okay, so I can't go through all the possible use cases with you. And if you find there's a use case you'd like to try out that I'm not showing in this channel, you can definitely use the playground to play with it, because this is my next favorite place where I'll try and design some prompts too for this API and sort of see what I get in return. And you can definitely start working around your own use case. Okay, so this is the playground, and the way you access it is at the top over there. You click on playground, and we're going to be doing a lot of our work on the playground. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you before we go to the playground is the API key, because that's what you must definitely get from here. All right, so before we even go to the playground, go into personal over there and click that view API keys. All right, so just open that, and then it's going to generate you an API key, and you can see this was created on the 4th of December 2021. Last used 24th of December 2021. So this is not gonna work for me anymore. Let's see. My account, I think my account is it out of credit? Okay, so I still have credit until the 1st of April. Okay, because I haven't used much. I haven't used this API a lot. Okay, and I'm gonna delete this account after this, by the way, because I'm going to show you my API key for the first time, because I think some people get lost in how to get that working. Okay, so you can see under your account the credit that you have and how long they've allowed you. So this is not, they don't always give you $18 per month. I think they sort of figure out how much you're using the API and they extend it. So they've given this to me until April. That's all right. So because I'm not using this account a lot. Okay, so I'm going to go to view API keys again, and then I'm going to copy this API key. Let's see, and then I'm going to paste it here on my document over there. All right, and I'm just going to paste it over there. So that's my API key, and then we're going to see later on how we're going to use it. Okay, then I can close that, and then let's start doing some work over here. So the first thing that I want to do is just show you how the models work. So so over here, this is all the what we call parameters or hyperparameters. These are the parameters of the model that like you can set and change them depending on how sensitive you want your results to be to certain elements and variables. So if you understand to random, and you can work around these parameters, but not to confuse you. What you want this temperature to be at is 0.7, 0.8 is pretty good, because it will give you results that are not too deterministic, and it has got a bit of randomness. And if you sort of hover on it, it explains to you what they are. Okay, the response length is also another important one. This tells you how many tokens you're going to use, for example, and how long you want the response to give you, because it can actually cut your paragraph in half if your response length is not long enough. So over here, I'm going to make this response length, in this specific case, 200, so that I'm not bothered by that. And I'm going to leave all of this the way that it has been set. And then at the top over here, I'm going to make this 0.8. All right, I'm going to make this 0.8, and then I will show you all the different engines. Okay, so what are the engines? The engines are like your models. Okay, so the models are, what does the computing. Okay, so you've got 4 different models over here, and they all have strengths and weaknesses. All right, and I don't want you to worry too much about which models you're going to use for what. If you're going to do like the tutorial I'm showing you today, the best one is definitely the DaVinci one, because it's the strongest, it's the one that is mostly trained, it's got more data that it goes through, it's going to give you your best result. Okay, however, with maths and engineering, you understand, if you're going to get the most highest quality, it's obviously going to cost you more, and it's going to take a little bit more time to do all the computing. So it is the most expensive, but it is the one that will give you the best result. Okay, and then as you go down, you're going to get not so good results. but the models get cheaper and cheaper and faster as well. So if you're doing something that requires you to get really fast results, then you want to work with some of the models down here. But what I would recommend is, it really depends on your use case. Some models are good for classification, some are good for language translation, some are good for like what we're doing now, which is going to be mostly what is it, let me just click on this and show you. Capable model in the text DaVinci can perform tasks other than GPT models or whatever. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the DaVinci because that's the one I use a lot. And I'm going to say, let's say I want to generate blog topic ideas, right? So generate blog topic ideas on, I don't know, what can you write blogs about? Challenges facing entrepreneurs, all right? So this is an instruction. You get an instruction asking you to do something. So the other thing you could be doing is you could start a write paragraph and ask it to complete it for you. So you can do many things, but you must play around with those prompts that you give it and then see what it returns so that you can get the right prompt for the use case that you want, right? I've done the generate blog topic ideas many times, and I think this prompt works just fine. And you click generate, it's gonna go and get you what you want, all right? Because we're working with a JavaScript today, there you go. It's got like 10 different ideas. So these are the results it has given me. And so what we're going to do in our model is that we're going to run this inside of the JavaScript React application instead of doing it on the Playground, because we want to actually build an application with this. All right. So the reason why I showed you this though is that you can actually get an idea of the code that you need to use from the Playground. Okay. So if you go to the top there where it says view code, you can open that and you'll see a Node.js selected because I already selected that, but you have the different options. Okay, I've been doing this on Python for the last month and a half since I started working on OpenAI. But today I'm going to show you the JavaScript alternative. So Node.js, you can just change the language over there, and you've got curl as well if you want to do this on a curl command, or if you want to send a JSON API request. But we're gonna work with Node.js. Okay, so this is the Node.js code that we're gonna work with, and then I can sort of like you can like copy this, all right, and then we're gonna go back to our notes. Where is our notes? All right, and I'm gonna go right to the bottom of our notes, and then I'm gonna paste that in there because this is what we're gonna be working with. All right, and then let me see there, not double, let's go back to single so that it doesn't take so much space. All right, so that's all I need from OpenAI. Okay, I can even close this. Okay, but I'm gonna leave it open because like I said, I use the Playground. I use the Playground a lot to test out stuff. All right, so this application that I've built over here, it's running there. All right, I'm gonna close this. I'm going to clear this and I'm going to CD out of this. So the way I work, I like working with Atom and work directly off the command line. Obviously, I'm a Python developer. I prefer working off the command line. But, please just follow along with me. You need two things to get started here. You need a code editor, all right, which is like, Atom. And if you don't have one, you can just go online and say, download Atom. Like that, okay? And people have preferences with lots of, and the majority of YouTube channels I see like using Visual Studio Code, but for some reason I've just liked Atom. I've stuck to it. I've just always used it. It doesn't have, and it works for me, all right? And when you get here, it will sense what operating system you're working from, and you can just download it and start working with it. And that's what I'm going to be working with. So if you want to follow me exactly, you can, but you don't have to, because once you see what I'm writing, you can use any code editor to write what I will be showing you, okay? You don't have to use Atom. Then the next thing is obviously the command line, and there's a lot of code editors that have the integrated command line at the bottom, and then there's, I don't know, I just like to see my command line separately because I can move between windows easily, all right? Then I want to see my command line filling the whole window. I want to see my editor filling the whole window. I want to see my whole website filling the whole window, right? And you'll see I just move easily between them. So over here, this is the project that I just built over there. I'm going to create a new one. And like I said, we're going to be using React, and I'm going to build this, guys, with you from scratch. I'm going to do a lot of copying and pasting from what I've already built, because I'm not going to be thinking through line by line, or else we're going to be here for 10 hours. All right. So there will be sections and snippets and sort of like tools that I will just copy and paste from the app I've already built, in the interest of saving time. Okay. Of course, everything I copy and paste, I will still explain to you. But what I'm thinking is on our website, scholar.online, over here, within the next Scholar.online. So this is our online learning website. All right. So if you remove these documents and you just leave it like that, we've got a lot of like courses over here that you can learn on. All right. I'm gonna put this course there, we in a much more detailed format, where I will actually not copy and paste sections, and I will build each and every single section step by step. But for the YouTube video, guys, we don't have a lot of time, so there will be I will be rushing through a lot of sections. And because you guys asked for the React video, I'm assuming that I'm not doing a React course. You guys know React, and you'll be able to like catch up on those sections. But if you want now the detailed version and step by step on all the components I'm going to be working with, then definitely just keep an eye out for this. Maybe within, I'm very busy lately, but like maybe within a month or so, I'll do a detailed step-by-step video that I will put there, that will cover the exact same course, but with much more detail for people who need to the nuts and bolts of it. All right. So I'm going to then close this. And so over here, what you need to do with the React, the way React works, is first of all, you need to make sure that you have Node installed. All right. So you need to work with the Node, Node download. All right. So this is very, very important. And if you don't have it, you can just go to their website, which is this one over here. I'm not going to link this because you can Google it just like I have Googled it, and you can figure out which one you want to install, for whether you're working on Windows or Mac OS X or whatever, or you're going to install it from source. It's really up to you. Or if you're working on Linux, you can also do that. But I'm not going to install it because I have it installed, and you can double check always which Node version you have by doing Node -v, and it will show you the version that you've got. If you see a version showing, it means you've got Node installed. So before you can do anything, definitely run this Node -v command, and then you can take it from there. All right. And over here, I've written all the steps that I need to follow. Okay. And maybe I'll put this I'll create an actual, I'll create a note, okay, that I will publish online. It's not a blog, it'll be a note that I'll publish online, and then you can check the steps for yourself in the future. But I'm going to be copying and pasting from here. All right. So this command creates for you a node application. Okay. I can't call it content because there is already a file in here called content. So I'm going to call it something else. I'm going to call it AI content. All right. So what does this do? It uses npx, a node package, X, to run this command that is create a React app, and then it will create a React app inside of a folder called this. And if you don't have this folder, it will create this folder for you. You shouldn't have a folder called this, so it will create it for you, and then it will build all the folder structures for your React application inside, and then you just run enter. It takes quite a bit of time, so I'm going to fast forward through this section for you. Okay. So we have finished this. So when you sort of see happy hacking there, it means we are done. So let's just clear, and then if you do ls to list the folder that's underneath where you are right now, you'll see this AI content. It's a new folder that we just created. So what we're going to do is that we're going to cd into that folder. All right. So also now this is where we're going to be working from. And I'm going to do atom a dot to open atom from this folder location. All right. So if you press that, otherwise you can just go in and open atom yourself, and then make sure that you've got your folders this is where you're working from. All right. And then I want to move this here for now so that I can I can just leave it there. I can actually just leave it there. So I want to show you quickly what's happening here. Just high level for guys who are new. So this is the folder structure. The way JavaScript frameworks work, and the reason why I do not flip and use them anymore, is this problem over here. So what happens is that, the React application, it does everything for you, as the React application, and just renders everything into one div that sits inside of your HTML. So if you go into your index dot HTML inside of the public folder, this is the file that gets rendered. This is the HTML that actually gets rendered onto the browser. All you'll see there is this div called root. Okay, what happens is the React application renders everything inside of this div dynamically. With React, you got all these components, and it renders different components at different times all over the show, and it manages all of that inside of itself, and then somehow everything just appears normally. And from the user point of view, it's nice, of course, but it's really terrible for search engine optimization. For example, it's really terrible for trying to if you wanted to crawl the website and do things, because everything is sort of dynamic. You have to wait for it to render first before you can see it, right? So this is the challenge with why I don't use these type of frameworks. But everything renders in here, so you don't actually edit actual HTML text. You actually edit React components inside of React. So we're gonna close that folder and close this, because we're not even going to touch that. We're gonna go into the source folder, because everything is gonna come from there. All right. Then I want to show you the index.javascript, and you can see this is the main thing that actually gets rendered inside of that HTML root thing. And inside of there, you will see it renders this app thing. And this app comes from import app from .app. So this .app is this file over there, right? So this is the file that actually you need to edit if you want to change anything, because everything that's in here is what's going to be rendered inside of this index.javascript, and that's what's going to get rendered inside of the public. Okay, so this app.javascript, this is where we're going to be working from. All right, so I'm going to start by, actually I'm going to leave it like this first before because I need to start by just installing some libraries that we're going to be needing inside of this application. And I'm gonna try and install all of them now, and I think I've got it in here. So I've opened Atom. So before I do npm start, I need to run all of these. Okay, this command. So this is an npm install. Let me copy it first and go back there. All right, so while you are inside this folder, you must do this inside of the folder. Okay, this doesn't work like Python where you just need an active environment. Here you actually have to be in the right location to do your installation. So you're going to do npm install, and these are the things we're going to be installing. Okay, we're going to be installing a Bootstrap. All right, Bootstrap is obviously the Bootstrap library for styling and everything that we're going to need. We're going to install React Bootstrap, which is another thing that we're going to need. It has all the React components that we're going to be working with. We're going to be installing the router DOM, which is it's going to help us sort of navigate between the different pages. And then finally, we're going to install OpenAI, which is our library that we're going to be working from. Okay, so you can actually run all of those at once, and it will work in the background and install them. Okay, so while it's doing that, what can we do? We just have to wait for it. All right, so I'll again fast forward here and wait for this to finish. Oh, it's already done. Okay, and you can have a look there at the versions that got installed. All right, and if you I think it should also show in your package register. You'll see that the file is now changed. It looks different in color because you've just installed some new libraries, and you'll see these are the things that you've just installed now: Bootstrap, OpenAI, React Native, and so forth. All right, so that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, I'm going to clear, and then I think we can actually start running our application. And to run your application, you need to do npm start. All right, so let's do that. Let's do npm start. And npm start is going to so obviously it's running it in the same port, and now I'm running a different app. It's not it was showing the old app that I had on, but basically this is the default. All right, so let's go back to our our app.js. All right, so if you look over there, you'll see this is the logo that is being showed over there. All right, this is some other stuff that we're going to delete everything in there. All right, until we just left with the div. And then we're going to display all of our applications in here. All right. So we're going to start with creating a new folder, and we're going to call this folder components. All right, so we're going to put all our components in here that are going to display in there. All right, and I've written some nice notes for this. All right, so we're going to create a component called navigation, because we're going to start with our navigation. All right, so instead of components, we're going to create a new file that we're going to call navigation.js. Okay, and for this file, I just wanted to show you very quickly how, because I'm going to copy and paste the stuff, that I'm going to put in here, but I just wanted to show you how you would be able to build this on your own. All right, so basically you need to go to React, Bootstrap, components, okay, like that. And you need to just find, like, you can click anywhere here, all right, whether it's alerts or whatever. It doesn't matter, because then you can navigate through all the different components. All right, so the components that you want is this navs, all right, or yeah, the nav. All right, so this shows you how you can build different types of navigation, whether it's a top bar navigation or a side one. There are different types of navigations you can build. So for example, if you build this type of navigation, or a pills type navigation, you could just copy that code, and so forth. All right, so if you are, and you can, there's options if you wanted to have a drop down and things like that. So you can definitely go here and look at the different types of navigations that you can build. And of course, before you can build anything, you have to import it. All right, so let's have a look at our nodes over here. All right, so I've pasted the code from where I've written it before for our navigation. I'm just going to take you through what we're doing here. All right, so we're going to want to show a logo on our navigation bar. And what I've done is that I've added a file called favicon.png, and I've saved that file inside of the source folder so that I can access it from over here, 2 steps up into the source folder, because I'm now inside of the navigation.js inside of the components folder. So I need to go up before I can access the favicon. So that's why I have that. This one, you always have to sort of import it. All right, and you need to always import the component as well for our class-based I think they call them class-based views. That's what we do call them in Django. I don't know. Then we import Bootstrap, Bootstrap just for the styling. And then of course the React Bootstrap is specific for the React components within Bootstrap that we're gonna need the nav and the nav bar. Right, so those are the two that we need. And like I showed you over there, you can go through some of these examples, but what I ended up building was this nav bar over here that's dark with sticky top, and it will expand at MD, which means it will also collapse if you make the screen smaller. And we're going to show the logo there to the left, and then we're going to be able to toggle the nav bar, collapse this section when we are on a smaller screen, to make it mobile friendly, collapsible. And we just then export default navigation from this file. All right, so if you look at the default navigation from this file, if you go to the app.js, remember I told you this is where all the magic happens. You need to import, all right, import all the components, all right, at the top. All right, so this is what's happening here. I didn't delete anything. I just left what was there before, even though I'm not going to use this logo anymore. We'll delete it in the end. I just don't want to confuse you for now. Just the only change in here is to add this from navigate, import navigation from components navigation. Again, you have to give it like a relative path from where you are right now. What is the path to getting this navigation file? Okay, you need to go up into the components folder and then go into the navigation.js, and then you get that file. And then you can just sort of inside of our application, you can see this is our application there. We're just going to add the thing that says a navigation. All right. So once you do that, we're going to save all of this. And I've already tested this. And if you go back to our application, you'll see this is our navigation bar. All right. It's very weird because we haven't done any routing yet. All right. But inside of our navigation bar, what we've done is that we have given it some hrefs, we've given it, links to different pages. All right. So if, for example, you click on the product description, right? It's got a link. You can see it at the bottom there showing, and if you click on it, you'll see at the top there it routes to the product description, but it's still showing us the same page. And if you click on the cold emails, it takes you to a page that says cold emails, and you click tweets, it takes you to a page that says tweets. And if you click here, it takes you back home, which is I've given it that href of home. All right, so the links sort of work-ish, but they're not really taking us anywhere, and the page that it's actually being rendered is the exact same page, because if you look at our app.js, we are only rendering the navigation. So what we need to do here is that we need to create new files. All right, we need to create new files that will be rendered when we go to the different pages. All right, and we're going to be working with I think it was three different ones. So let me just remind myself what they are over here. So these are the three different use cases we're going to be working with, and the home page, of course, which means we need 4 different HTML pages, or what I would have called HTML pages, but in this case it's going to be React pages. Okay, the first one is going to be a page that's going to be called home. All right, so under the components here, you can just create a new file that you're going to call home.js, and the naming convention with JavaScript is that you start with a capital letter. Okay, I'm not laughing. So we're gonna call that home.js, and the next one, let's see, is product description called emails and tweets. Okay, so let's a new file over here. We're gonna call this product description. All right, .js. And the next one is going to be, let's see again, product description, cold emails and tweets. All right. So the next one will be cold emails .js. And then the last one will be a new file that we will call tweets.js. All right. So all of these we will put components in here for the different pages. And what we want is that inside of our app.js, let's move it to the top there. We want to be able to display all of them. And we can actually already import them from here. But before we do that, inside of my notes, this is where I've got this code. All right, so this is the code for that. So let me go to the home page, for example, which is this one. This is the code for it. So this is just like a blank, a blank, class-based view. We're gonna call this a home, and so let's say this is the home page. All right. And when you're here, you're on the home page. We are importing React at the top, and we're importing a component from React to build this. All right, so we can actually paste all of this in all the different ones, and over here replace our home with our product description. Right, and then replace, right, and then go to the tweets and paste that in there and replace home with a tweet. All right, replace that, and then cold emails, do the exact same thing and replace home with cold emails. All right, and let's replace it all, and then we're gonna go back to our app.js, and we're gonna do the exact same thing for navigation there. We're gonna find the first one will be home. All right, and we'll put home in there. So we need to import home. The next one will be product description. All right, and we need to input that in there. All right, and the last one will be the cold emails. All right, so let's put that in there, cold emails, and cold emails like that. Okay, cold emails. Right, so basically you want to show the navigation bar, and then let's now do the exact same thing for our home page. All right, and let's do the same thing for our product description. All right, let's do the same thing for our cold emails. And then finally, we're going to do the same thing for our tweets. Right, so this is not quite right yet, but I just want to show you what we have so far. So import React from React. So what is this? Compatible problems. All right. So basically, okay, I think I know what it is. Yeah. Okay, so basically over here, inside of our everything from the home page, this is wrong. I think it was pasting this wrong, because I'm copying and pasting this from a document. So just be careful. The strings should be proper strings. So I think once I've done that, let me copy and paste this in all the other ones, because it's the way it sort of copied a string along, it copied it the wrong way, and obviously it doesn't pick it up, the JavaScript. So the other one pasted just fine. All right, so let's restart this. And tweets is not defined. Where is this now? Tweets. Is this inside of the app.js? Tweets. Okay, because I haven't imported this at the top there, so this needs to be import tweets from components tweets. All right, let's save that and have a look. So this is the home page, product description page, cold emails page, tweets page. It's like displaying everything at once, and this is not what we want. Okay, so what we definitely want to do now is that we want to implement our navigation inside of this page. All right, so we want to be able to navigate through these different these different components. So what we're going to do is that we're going to import. All right, so what we need to import is we need to import the router, the browser router, but because it's a long word, we're just shortening it, we're just renaming it as router. Then we import root and we import root. Okay, these are different imports, and we're importing them from that router DOM that we installed at the beginning before we started running. Okay, so we're going to use basically these classes to be able to navigate through, to build a navigator through our application. So the first thing that you need to do inside of that return thing, all of this needs to be in case inside of, we need to pack everything inside of, wrap everything in the router. Okay, so we're going to create a router. All right, and then we're going to paste everything inside of there. All right, then basically once we've done that, then we're going to wrap the parts inside roots. Okay, so this is the nav bar, and we want the nav bar to show, we want the navigation bar to show on every single root. So if you had a footer as well, you'd want the footer to show on every root, but then the content of the pages, so these are the different content of the pages. So the home pages, that's the content, these ones you want to show only on certain roots. Okay, so this is the one that you need to wrap inside of the roots. Okay, so I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to create some space, and then I'm going to say roots like that, right? And then we're going to paste it inside of the root. Okay, so these are the ones that you need to root. Okay, and then you just have to rewrite the pages and obviously specify what the roots are. Okay, and I've got the syntax over here, and I'm going to just copy and paste it so that it's easier for me to do that. All right, so for the home page, for example, you need to rewrite it like this. Okay, so you need to wrap that inside of root. So remember, this roots is that roots over there. Okay, then the root is the specific root inside of the root. Okay, so the specific root is, you have to specify what the path for that root is, and then what element must be rendered with that root. Okay, so the home page, I want you to render it when people are going on the slash path, and the slash path is obviously the home path. So if you're going to without anything behind the slash, that takes you to the home page. All right, that's the first root that we're going to build. All right, the next one, which is not the root, the home root, is going to look like this. All right, the product description. All right, so you're going to specify specifically what root this should be. When somebody clicks on this root, or somebody enters this root, you want to send them to the product description element, and that product description element is obviously this element over there, so you can just copy and paste it in there. All right, and remember, these roots are also the same as what we have inside of our navigation. All right, so I've already decided in the navigation, this is what I'm going to call the roots, and then I must just make sure they match the same. But actually, you would have built it the other way around. You would have built the router first, right? So you would have specified them here and then later on specify them in the navigation. But we're building a small app, that's okay. I won't remember. It's only 3 roots I have to remember, and this one is called email, so I'm going to cut that in there and put it in there. So this one must take me to the cold emails, and so this is cold emails. All right, and then the last one is tweets. All right, so I'm gonna paste that in there, and I'm gonna cut that, cut the whole thing. All right, and then I'm gonna paste in the, make sure that I remove everything in there, and I'm gonna paste tweets in there, and obviously do the same there. And then I just need to double check that these parts are correct. Home, product description, cold email, tweets, which is the same as what we have here, product description, cold email, tweets, and the home page. And let's then refresh our application and hope we have no errors. And you can see suddenly this is the tweets page, because we are on the tweets page. It's showing us only the tweets page and not the other one. And if you click over here, it's going to take us to the home page. And if you click over there, it's taking us to the product description page. If you click on the tweets, if you click on the cold emails, it's taking us to the cold emails. Okay, so just like that, we've got our navigation sorted out, and that's I think the most important part of the React part of what I'm showing you here today. The next part of the lecture will be now me showing you how to put together the components that's going to help us build exactly what we want. All right. And we're going to start with a home page. All right, so now this home page, we're gonna, instead of displaying this is the home page, we're gonna display all of those nice things that we had and all the different routes. And I'm not gonna build them step by step. Like I said, if you want the detailed version, I think I'll do something on my YouTube channel. I'm just going to paste the code I've already written, and I'll just take you quickly through it. Okay, for the home page, if you recall, we had these type of cards, which we showed in a sort of a row with 3 columns. And if you go back to the documentation for React Bootstrap, and you look for the components part, and you just search for cards, if you like scroll down and you click on cards, if you then go down to the page, this is the card we're going to be working with. It has that title there and some content and then a button. All right, so this is, if I can remind you, this is what the cards look like. And these cards just have like some explanation of the use case, you know, like product description, marketing emails, and so forth. And then you get that button that you click, that it takes you to that other part of the, you know, of the website where there's going to be more information. So we're going to start by building this. All right, and remember, in classical React fashion, that's different from how, you know, most other web, you know, platforms would work, is that we work with components. So what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to start by building this as a component, because if you look over there, you can see that this is a specific component that you can reuse. So I only really have to build it once, and then I can reuse it with different content that I'm going to just sort of pass into the component, like as a prop, for example. So create a new file that's called display.js. You can call it anything that you like. I decided to call it display.js, and I'm going to build this card component in here. And then this display.js is what I will use to therefore, you know, replicate the component as many times as I need to replicate that component. Okay, and it's a very, very simple component. So what we're doing at the top, we are importing the React as usual, and then we're importing Bootstrap and React Bootstrap. And what we need from React Bootstrap is the card. And again, you know, you can just go to the documentation, you can copy this, and you can see over here that you need the card, definitely. So we're going to need the card, we're going to need a button, because there's going to be a button over there that we're going to add, and then we need the nav, and the nav is just so that you can create a link. All right, so the button needs to have a link that we're going to add. So this is something that's not in here, but later on I had to figure out how to get a link. So we're going to need a nav and navigation, and for that we have that nav link, and we'll attach that to the button so that we can navigate. So basically this is the component that we want, and the only components we need from React Bootstrap is the card, button, and the nav. All right, so I literally just copied and pasted this. All right, so you can copy and paste it inside of the return function. Okay, and remember, putting everything into one div. And once you've done that, then you can have your card, you got your card header. So instead of hard coding the card header into the component, because I want to be able to reuse these components as much as possible, is that for the header, I have a a prop that we're going to feed into the, so it's like feeding into a function or feeding into a class, a dynamic variable. Think about it that way. So that dynamic variable is a header, a title, the text that goes into there, and the link that we're going to navigate to, and you can deconstruct those variable at the top there under the props, okay, which means that every time now you call this display, every time you call this display component, you can specify these props, okay, and then you can then use the props anyway inside of your component. So this should be very simple, straightforward React. And I'm going to then import this display inside of our home.js because I want to build this on the home page. All right, so instead of the home.js, I'm just going to at the top there import the display. All right, and then the other thing I'm going to import in here is a carousel and a container and a row and a column. This is just going to help me sort of with a layout of the page. All right, so what we have over here at the top, this is the carousel that I have with just one image. That's the image that I'm going to download from there. All right, and then I've got rows and columns so that I can be able to structure this properly, as you can see. So we've got our imported our rows and the columns like that. Okay, so what we have is, this is a very crude way of building this, and honestly I was just trying to do this quickly. So you can see I've got a lot of breaks all over the place instead of doing margins and things like that with CSS classes, but nonetheless it achieves the functionality. But of course, if you have time and you can definitely build in the classes properly with the right margins and and padding around the elements. Nonetheless, we have everything inside of the container. The container is sort of what allows us to like center everything nicely in the middle, so you don't have your content like going out. Okay, so it's sort of like think of it as a bag. So we put everything inside of that bag, and then once we've done that, the first part is our carousel. So think of building this like building any HTML page. All right, so the first part is a carousel that we'll be having, and that carousel is what goes in there. And I gave it like a background image of this scroll because I think it just makes the page look much nicer. It gives it more class. And then after that, then I've got an H1 and a paragraph just explaining what we're doing on this page. This is what you see over there. So I've got a header 1 and a paragraph, and then after that I've got the row and the column. All right, so you create a row and a column, and inside the first column, so this is one column, that's the second column, that's the third column. So inside the first column, I added that display component, which is the display component that I got from there, which is the display component which we built in here. Okay, so that display component, remember, we have now the props that we can specify, the header, the title, and the link. And every time we create that display component, we have to specify what those props are. Okay, so for the first card that goes in there, I want my header to say product descriptions. Okay, so that's what you see over there. It says product descriptions, and then we have the title, generate product descriptions. It's there, and it also has the nice emojis with the handbags there. And then the text, that's the details that go in the text. And then finally we have the button with the link, and the link is also a dynamic variable because each and every single card will have a different link. So the link will be product description, the next link will be cold emails, the third one will be tweets, and of course the content will change it appropriately. So if you wanted to add more use cases, what you can do is you can just add another row at the bottom here and add the same, because once you've built this display component over here, you can just reuse it as many times as you like. So you can just add another row, for example, and then add columns, and then just use the display thing again and just specify your different props in there, what it must show. And basically this is our home page. Okay, this is our home page done. And you'll see that if we save this, and I've already saved it, and we run it, this is what the home page now looks like. So our home page is pretty much done. If you click on the product description and you say get started, it takes you to the product description page. You haven't built the page, but you can see it here. All right, and then if you go back home and you click on the cold emails, it takes you to the cold emails page. And if you go back home and you click on the generate tweets, it takes you on the tweets page. All right, so that's basically all that we're doing here. All right, so the next part of this tutorial will be, I'm going to start by just building, for example, on the product description. Let's go there. I'm going to start with the product description page, and I'm just going to build the HTML behind it without any functionality yet. All right, so let's build it without the functionality yet, and then after that we will then go and put in the, you know, the API calls and so forth that we need to do to call our OpenAI API. All right, so let's do that next. So basically, this is what the code looks like. Like I said, I can't go through the details of building it step by step, but basically at the top you need to make sure you import the OpenAI. We're not using it yet, but I just want to import it now so that I don't forget to import it later. All right, and then this is what the HTML looks like. So let's go through the HTML first before we look at you know, what happens with the forms and everything. All right. So basically we have everything again inside of a container. Okay, so we're showing everything inside of a container, and we've got our H1 there at the top, you know, so this is just talking to what is happening on the page and some short description, and then we have a form. All right, so this is a Bootstrap form, and again you can go through the documentation again, and you can just search for forms. If you can't find it, you can Google for it at the top, but I think, yeah, there you go, forms. And if you find the forms, you know, like I actually just used this one, right? And I copied this one and I just removed what I didn't need. The first form was sufficient, you know. It has the label, the input box, and, you know, sort of like a prompt text at the bottom there and a button. That's all you need. All right. So we've got one, the label here says what product you like the description for. And you can enter the product name and as much, you know, and enter as much information as possible. This is just to prompt the people over there when they're entering that information. And then let's see, I think in the app.js, I definitely want to remove these things. I think this is what's causing. Let me see. Yeah, that's definitely what was causing everything to be centered in the middle. I don't want it to be centered in the middle. All right, so let's go back to the product description. Okay. So that's the form over there. All right, it's very simple, straightforward form. If you're working with React, you would know how to build that. And then there's a button over there, and the button in this case, it doesn't have a link because it's a button inside of a form. So a button inside of a form, you need to just make sure that you are selected as a type submit button, so that when it gets clicked on, the default submit process would, you know, continue. And all you have to do is that on the form itself, you have to specify at the top of the form what should happen when the form gets submitted. All right, and then this is a function that you will then run and sort of explain what happens inside of that function. Okay, that happens later, and I'll go through that later. But basically, this is all you need to do for a you know, for the React form. Okay, you build a form, a Bootstrap form, like with all the parts and elements of the form. Okay, you specify the button as a type submit, and then you specify at the top there what should happen on submit, making sure that you're using the camel case for, you know, for React and for, you know, for this specifically. Then at the bottom of the form, then we have this section over here where we're going to be displaying our response. So we're going to manage what we are displaying here using the state with React, because we can then put the variables inside of the state, and we can have that component re-render every time the state changes when we set state. So that's what we're going to do with React. We're going to use that state functionality. And again, we're displaying a card. It's just a card body and a title. The title here, you know, initially it's going to say the response from the AI will be shown here and await response. Okay, so there's nothing happening because we haven't run it. And hopefully when we do get the response, we will then change the state of this variable. So now we're not hard coding the variables. We are setting them as state variables. So this one is a state response and this one is a state heading. All right, which means that at the top over here, when we need to then build a constructor into this class, and we need to then you know, specify the initial variables, and that's where that's coming from. Await response and the response from the AI will be shown here. These are variables we have specified inside of our constructor, which means that the first time this component renders is going to render with these default values. All right, and then after the form submits, we're going to do some other stuff, and then we're going to change state based on whatever API call we've done. So this is very, very simple. If I have to show you from a high level, what we're doing here in a step-by-step manner is that we are displaying this form. All right, with some HTML H1 straightforward, and you will be able to input a variable in here. So once you input whatever the instruction it is that you want us to send to the API, we will then click this button, and when you click this button will submit this form, and this button will run this function on form submit, which is the function that we've specified over here on form submit. Okay, when this button form submits run, some stuff will happen, and whatever that stuff that will happen, which we are going to code later in more detail, the result that comes from that stuff running, we are going to use those results to set the state, to change this state variables over here that are specified from the constructor, the heading and the response. We're going to change the heading and the response to match whatever results we get from our API call in this specific sense, so that when we are asking it to give me a product description and we go ask the API for that product description, when the API returns us that product description, we then display that product description to the client again. You understand? So there's a couple of steps that we're following here, right? So what I'm showing you so far is just what the HTML looks like, all right? So this is just an explanation of what the HTML looks like, and I've just rewritten the function quickly. Not rewritten, but I wrote the function in quickly just to set the state every time you run so what happens that on form submit, there'll be an event, okay? And all these fancy arrows everywhere in, JavaScript, you gotta create an arrow there with a pointy thing. That's just how it is. And once you've done that, you need to make sure you run prevent default every time, because if you don't run prevent default, then the pages just resets, and then the thing gets re-rendered anyway. So I don't know why that is just not automatically done. You have to tell it not to do that, even though you have to do it every time. You still have to tell it. That's how JavaScript works. Then after that, you then go and collect the information from the form data, from the event target. All right, so once you get that, we're gonna get an object from that. We're gonna get it as an object, and then I'm just gonna console.log that object, okay? But not the whole object. I just want the product name part of that object. Why do I want the product name part of the object? Because if I go back to my form, if you consider my form input, all right, I called that variable product name, okay? So you can call this name anything that you like. Let's say you had 3 or 4 different inputs. The one was product name, the other one was email address, the other one was password. You would call that whatever you call it, and then when you search for it inside of the object, you will look for that specific name inside of that object that gets submitted with the form, you understand? So because I called my thing a product name, I'm going to look for the product name inside of the object, and I just want to console.log that, because initially, and I always suggest you do this initially before you even call an API, just run your code to make sure that at the very least you can send information from the form to the function, and that you can display that back to you to make sure that at least the form itself works properly, so that you can troubleshoot one item at a time. You don't want to run the whole code and then nothing works and you don't know where the problem is. So the first step is definitely we just want to run this form and check the console logs if it's actually going to print out what we've submitted it, all right? And then the next thing I want to check is that the set state also works, all right? So after all of this happens, I'm going to set state anyway, all right? And I'm going to set state by saying the product description suggestion for this, all right? And I can just input this product name in there to say whatever it is, the product name that was entered. These are the suggestions, okay? So I'm just refeeding that back to the user. And then the response of the AI will be shown here. There's no response now, but once I'm going to run some AI function in here, all right? I'm going to run that OpenAI in there, and then I'm going to take those results and put them in here, but I'm not doing that yet, okay? I just want to check very, very simply. I can feedback and get this information because this is what I need to input into that function. And then I also just want to double check that provided this function runs properly, that I can definitely set state to something different, you understand? So that at least I know my HTML is okay. So once my HTML is okay, then I'm going to take the next step, all right? So let us save this, and we're going to, once you save it, by the way this thing works is that you just, it re-renders itself because everything is running in the back automatically. I don't have to refresh anything. So when you get here, let us enter anything. No, let's enter our name. Okay, Scholar Online. All right. So basically, once you've entered that, we should see Scholar Online feedback there, and we should also see this change to say the response from the OpenAI. All right. So let's click that button. All right, and it happens immediately because there's nothing that takes time in the background, right? So AI product suggestions for Scholar Online, AI product suggestions for whatever it is that we entered their product name data object, and then the response from the OpenAI will be shown here, and that's displaying properly, okay? So we know now that we can enter information and we can get the state to change, and we can get this variable which we need to input into the OpenAI. That's very, very important, okay? The next step now, we can go get the OpenAI code, right? Remember, I closed this by mistake, but let me just quickly show it to you. All right, we're gonna go with Google. We're gonna go with our Google account there. I'm gonna go to the playground, and we're gonna enter, product, generate product description, explanation, whatever, for the following product. All right, and then you wanna, whatever product, let's say you wanna get an Apple iPhone, okay? Whatever the product you want to put in there, right? And make sure you select DaVinci over there. I like working with DaVinci. Like I said, I like to work with this at 0.8. Definitely, we need to make this a little bit more so that we don't get limited by the, that. And then let's generate that and see what happens. We test this initially to get that we're getting what we want. So this is good. Then I want to remove that and then go into a view code. And that's the Node.js code that I want. Then you just basically copy that, all right? So once you've copied that, I'm just gonna go at the bottom here and just show you what I'm gonna paste in here, all right? So this is what we've copied, right? So this part over here is what I added at the top there, all right? If you can see there, that's that thing, all right? So you just basically do that so that you make sure you are importing the correct things. And this only works if you've already installed OpenAI. So if you followed our tutorial properly and installed everything I was installing, you should be okay. But if you caught it in the middle, make sure you get, not pip install, make sure you get, what is it? npm install OpenAI, all right? Then once you've done that, then you need to put your API key in here, all right? And then I'm going to show you our API key, all right? Don't worry, I'm going to delete this API key once I'm done with it. But I wanted to just make sure that you see it properly. And then we then initiate the OpenAI API so that we can now be able to use it to call. And you can see here it's written in JavaScript format, like with, await, respond, and everything. And I think this doesn't work very well with React, so you need to rewrite this function a little bit, okay? So I'm going to just close this and just show you, this was initially what I would have copied and pasted directly from here. So they give you exactly what the code must look like. Based on your settings, you see your maximum tokens is set properly there. Your temperature, set it as 1. It didn't even have it as, I think I wanted it as 0.8. Why did it set it as 1? Doesn't matter, I'll change it later. All right, so I'm gonna copy the code from here because I've got it already over there, all right? So I'm gonna go in here and just underneath there, all right? I'm gonna paste it in there, all right? And then just create some space. All right. So what are we doing here? That's the API key again. We're initiating the variable. All right, and then what we're doing is that we rewrote that function. So initially it looked like this. All right, so let me actually copy it over here, and you can see it's got that await what, all right? The like with JavaScript, you have to deal with like the async functions where it's calling something that's taking time to respond, because when you call an API, the API still has to go and run the code and do some stuff, and then it's going to give you a response. Okay, so when you're calling that function, that's why over here you have this the response. You must wait for this function to run. You must wait for it to run. It's an async function. Okay, it runs slowly, takes time. Now, we rewrote it differently by actually just running it, as it is, without giving it a variable and then waiting for a response. Okay, so this is just another way of writing the same function. And then, so you have to await. So this code that's in here only gets executed when this finishes running. Okay, and you can of course add errors and everything. If there was an error, you can add another, you're gonna append another part of this function to it, but I'm not too worried about that for now. But you could say catch if there's an error, and then do something if an error happens, and so forth. But for now, I'm just gonna await for this function to run, and then once the function finishes running, then we're gonna set state to this. All right, so in this case, I can delete what's in here. All right, I can delete that. And then I can just make sure that, there's a temperature is back at 0.8. And this is the prompt that I want to give it. Write a detailed, smart, informative, and professional product description for blah, 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 blah. So this blah, blah is whatever it is that's going to come in from the form. That's whatever somebody's going to submit over there. So whatever it is they submit, we are already going to. So you don't have to put in here, write a product description for Scholar Online. We are managing it on the code side because the client is not going to think about that. You are telling the client what is the product you want a description for. So whatever the product that they were thinking about, they're going to just input that in there. So we have to now rewrite that prompt for the API. Write a detailed, smart, informative, professional. So you can talk to OpenAI. You can really describe what you want out of it. And the more descriptive you are, the better the outcome. And you can play around with these prompts. Okay, so feel free to find words. You can even put in a tone of voice in here. You can even put in, this how it must sound like, how it must long detail, or maybe an explanation, whatever it is. Just play with the words to tell the OpenAI. It's an instructive API. So you are instructing it to what you want it to do, and the more instructive you are, the better the results that it's going to give you. So we are instructing it here. Give us a very detailed, smart, and informative, a professional product description for whatever it is that we're going to enter inside of the form, which is what we're getting from over there. And then these are then the other parameters that we've set. And then basically we say, once we get a response, once you get a response, we want that response to be used in the state. Okay, so set state, change the heading and change the response. Remember, that is that heading and that response. So we're going to change that heading to say, AI product suggestions for that. And the response, basically, this response is what comes back from OpenAI. If you're not sure what comes back from OpenAI the first time you run this, and I'll have this in the detailed tutorial that I'm going to do on my website, is you can display what you're getting and then figure out how to parse it. Okay, so I've already done that, and I know, if I go response data choices, the first option in there, and I look for the text, that's going to be the answer that I'm looking for. So this one is from actually trial and error. Not even trial and error, is initially I just logged the response to see what I'm getting, and then after a while I know, this is the structure of what the response comes like, and I'm assuming there's no errors in this specific case, because if you had errors, the response would be different. It would tell you there's an error, or maybe it will say, whatever. So you might want to catch all those things and figure out, if there's an error, because you can say then there's an option, obviously, if there's an error, and then what to do with the error. Okay, so I'm not going to handle errors in this specific case. I'm just catching the response, assuming everything will go well. My API key is working fine. It's 100%. I've got credit. I'm not going to have issues running this. And I've selected the right model, DaVinci 001 over there. That's going to give me what I need. And my maximum tokens are good. So I'm going to actually make this. Yeah, let me leave it as 100. That's okay. All right. So that's basically it. This is the magic. These lines of code from here to here, everything we're building, 80%, 90% of what I'm showing you today is just a basic React. These lines of code is the only part of this application that has got anything to do with the OpenAI API. The rest of it is just React stuff, okay? But of course, we have to build a React application so that we can use the OpenAI. So the last only 10 minutes, I'm going into the API code itself, but the majority of it is actually just React stuff, okay? So I'm gonna go and save this and just double check here that I don't have errors. Okay, I don't have errors. So let's enter a product name over here. I'm gonna enter one of my favorites. We've got a business management software. Let me put in big M, because this is gonna be reading everything in here for small businesses. All right, let's run that. This time it's going to take time. It's not going to display immediately because actually the async function is running in the background. And remember, we said await. So it is waiting for it to finish. All right. So AI product through suggestions for Coco business management software for small businesses is what I entered. This is what I put in there. And this is what it gave me. Okay, Coco business management software for small is a cloud-based solution that helps businesses to manage their finances, employees, customers. Coco offers a variety of features, help business to streamline the operation. These features include payroll, CR. I mean, this is really good content, right? So basically, you can ask it anything. Again, I don't know. I like always to try the Apple iPhone because it should know what an Apple iPhone is, right? I don't even have to tell it that it's a. Like I have to describe with the, there you go. The 6th iPhone is the latest, most advanced iPhone for Apple. The sleek design, stylish, 4.7 inch. I mean, look at that. That's amazing. What other product can you think of that is a popular product? I don't know. I don't know. Milk chocolate. Can you describe that? I don't know. Milk chocolate is made from organic milk and perfect chocolate lava. It's smooth and creamy with rich chocolate flavor. Milk chocolate is delicious way to indulge your sweet tooth. All right. That's it. That's basically it. All right. So all you have to do, and I'm not going to cover this in this video because it's getting long and I've had all I can take of React for one day. But basically, all you have to do now, and this is your homework, and this will help you learn, right? You just copy everything that's in here, all right? You just copy this and paste it in all the other pages, all right? So you copy this and you paste it in here, remove all of that and paste it in there. Make sure you change the component name, of course. And the only thing you need to change is some of the wording here. All right, like this, for example, write a detailed, smart, informative, professional product description. You're going to change this for the cold email. You might want to say, generate a marketing email, cold email for the following product, or marketing cold emails that will, result in positive responses. I mean, you have to tell it what you want. Okay. So for the cold email, you would re-describe that. Okay. And then you would have AI project suggestions for that. So everything is exactly the same. The only thing you're going to change is the prompt that you give the AI. That's all you have to change. You can copy and paste everything else exactly the same, including your API key, including the temperature and all the other things. You just change the prompt. So for the next use case, if we go back to here, for the next use case of cold emails, you're just going to change that prompt to fit cold emails. And then for the next use case for tweets, you're just going to change that prompt to fit the tweets. And then you can just copy and paste all of that, and then you can just rerun it, and then you're going to have the application that I showed you at the beginning of this. All right, so I hope you guys really found this exciting. This was definitely a bit of a walk outside of my comfort zone as a Python developer. Python developers going back to JavaScript was a bit of a thing. But funny enough, when I started my coding journey, I started with JavaScript. My first application that I built was in JavaScript. I used to use Vue a lot, when it was still new, and I used to use React. Actually, my first decentralized application I built, DApp, when I was still in cryptocurrency, and I built it, smart contracts. I used to build those in React and connect them with Web3 long time ago before Web3 was popular. So my first application was actually in React. And one of the reasons why I moved away from it was this issue of what I explained to you at the beginning, this problem over here. This is the reason why I left React and JavaScript frameworks was, when you look at if I show you this application, right? If you go to view page source, right? This is the best way for me to show this to you. This is the page source. This is all crawlers can't crawl this website. If I show you one of my other applications, Skoko, which is a running application, right? And you go here and you click view page source. Let me click anywhere on the side here, view page source. All right, this is a Django application. Everything is there. You can see the source of the page. You want to show your page source, because this is how the crawlers and the Google, analytics and all these things can see what is on your website, so they can rank your website and things like that, and figure out what content is on your website. I don't like this. This is why I moved from React. Okay, so I wanted to move from that to what I was showing you over there. All right, so guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next week. I'll see maybe next week what I'll do, because I was definitely planning on I wanted to do some of the blog generation stuff in here as well, and create routes for that. And then I ran out of energy right now because dealing with this React. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to combine that next week. And then next week, I'm going to expand this very same application. And then we're going to add the functionality for blog generation, so that you can we'll have like a blog generation writer, whatever, and you can add that to your content development. So maybe we'll have something here that says, generate some blog topic ideas, blog topic sections, and maybe a full blog writer. Okay, we'll do that next week. So if you're interested in stuff like that, definitely make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next week.